It would be pulled to pieces without you. Infinitely representing humanity and divinity over time and space. And you are an integral part of that. Never doubt it. Never doubt your essential nature. Never doubt that your jewel is any less vibrant than any other jewel in that. Well, tomorrow is Veterans Day, November 11th, and Veterans Day was formerly known as Armistice Day. Some of you know that. I'm going to give you a little history here because I think it's important, especially in light of this lesson that I'll give today. And it was originally set as a legal U.S. holiday to celebrate the end of World War I, which ended in 1918. And legislation was passed in 1938 at the request of the veterans of that war to celebrate the armistice. And armistice it means a formal agreement to stop fighting. That's what it was about. It was a celebration of peace, is what it was, to honor the veterans from World War I. 1918. Oh, can we even think about how long ago that was? 1918. Well, in 1954, we had been through more wars. We had been through World War II. We had been through the Korean War. And at the urging of some veterans, Congress now changed that day, instead of Armistice Day, to Veterans Day, to honor all those who served in wars in support of peace and freedom. And so instead of Armistice, they inserted the word veterans, and so the legislation was passed in 1954 that November 11th would be that day. Of course, November 11th at 11:11 a.m. is actually the time and date of the peace agreement, the armistice agreement that happened in World War I. Well, as we do in America, sometimes we muddle things up. So Congress, in their lack of wisdom, maybe that's still happening today, in their lack of wisdom, decided that it would be more convenient to have some of these holidays on a Monday, because then the federal workers could have a 3-day weekend. So they put this law into place, the Uniform Holiday Bill, to ensure that we would have 3-day holidays. The federal employees would have 3-day holidays. And so they switched from November 11th, this very important date, this very memorable date, the end of World War I, this date when peace was agreed upon by the opposite sides. And they switched it to the fourth Monday in October. Well, it was just haywire. People weren't happy about it. The states weren't happy about it. People got confused. In 1971, they switched it from November 11th to this fourth Monday in October. Well, it just didn't work out that way. And so finally, on September 20th, 1975, President Gerald R. Ford signed a law moving it back to November 11th. And all was well. You see, because dates aren't just dates, and celebrations or acknowledgments aren't just acknowledgments, they carry energy. And that's what happened to that, right? And that's what happened to that date. The states were like, oh man, this is not working. So do we have any veterans in the house? Anybody here who's a veteran? No veterans? Stand up, Jean. So thank you for your service. Thank you for making a decision that the rest of us obviously didn't make with our life. And I'll acknowledge from the stage, since I have it, and I have the mic, my sister who became a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, retired now, and served our country for 20 years in the United States Air Force. I'm sure you know people who have done that, and I think, oh my gosh, how do you make a decision? How do you make a decision and think about what it's like to fight in a war? That must be a difficult decision. I can't imagine what that feels like, can you? I can't imagine what it's like to train, for instance, as an infantryman, or a pilot, or a medic, or to be overseas and to be a combat surgeon or nurse, or simply to be there to be there away from your family, away from your friends, halfway around the world, taking care of trucks and ammunition and logistics and taking care of people. I mean, that just is a huge decision to make, isn't it? I can't imagine what that feels like. Or if you were stateside and you never even went overseas, to make the decision to leave your life in the hands of the military. To go where they tell you to go, to do what they tell you to do that training the way it is. You know, most of us in here, except for one, decided not to do that. And how amazing of a decision that is. And I have to think, and from seeing some and reading some information, that those who made that decision made it because freedom meant something to them. Service to country meant something to them. Service in that particular way was part of how and who they are. Whether you agree with it or not, it was somebody stepping up to the plate and saying, pick me, I'm here to serve. Pick me, I'm here to serve in this way. Sign me up, cut my hair, train me, send me off. I'm the one. I'm the one, pick me. Wow. And so I think it takes a lot of courage to make that decision. I think it takes a lot of courage that deserves our honor and respect, regardless of what we think about politically, to those individuals who have made that decision in their life. And so I want to say thank you, and I think we all should tomorrow, in honor of that courage, in honor of that decision, to thank those vets, to thank them for the intense freedoms that we experience right here in the United States. To gather like this, to gather and believe as we choose, to marry who we want to marry, to live the way we want to live, to take the job that we want, to switch jobs, to travel, the immense freedom that we have here in the United States. More freedom than we have anywhere else in the world, I believe. And to be grateful for that. To be grateful for that. Because, see, I think it's easy to forget that our lives are built on everyone who came before us. Yes, we think that's not true. We think we've built our life. We've explored our gifts, we've used our gifts, and we're the ones that have done this work, and this is our life. Well, look at that card that you got on the way in. Look at that card. Look at those people building the railroad. Can you imagine what it would be like to have that life? Can you imagine what it would be like to show up every day, clearing and flattening ground, using sledgehammers to pound steel, to put rails in place? Every day that was your job. Can you imagine what that would be like? And yet we have this transportation system. We think nothing of it. We never think anything of taking a train from A to B, do we? They were building an interstate rail line. And we hardly think about the ease that has given us that follow the opportunities that we wouldn't have had without it. Think about what it will be like to live without the modern conveniences we have. Oh my gosh, really? All the modern conveniences. Can you really even think about that? Technology, transportation, medicine, even how we buy our food. Everything's available all the time. We don't wait for seasons anymore. We're spoiled that way, aren't we? So many of us today work jobs that weren't even conceivable 100 years ago. There was no conception of sitting at a computer 8 hours a day. There was no conception of that. There was no conception of many things in technology. There was no conception of being at a machine and being in touch with the entire world, to be in touch with music and the arts and history. What I'm trying to get us to remember is that all of that preceded the life that we have. All of that is the foundation on which our lives have been built. All of that. All of that passion, all of that energy, all of that amazing physical effort. We built our life on that. So I think sometimes it's important to take a little piece of humble pie. You know, to remember that. To remember that our accomplishments rest on that. All of it. only on the humanity, but on the expansion of humanity, but on the expansion of divinity at the same time. In all who came before us. It didn't start with us, and it won't end with us. It's been that way. And here's the other thing that I want to share with you today, is that you are in the midst of that same thing. You are in the midst of creating the foundation for the next wave of humanity and expansion of divinity. You are. And some of you are saying, well, I don't know, Paula. I don't have much of a life. You know, I don't have any glamour or fame. I'm not out there changing the world. I haven't started my own nonprofit. I'm not helping all these people. I'm not one of those people. I'm not a mover and shaker. You know, what do you mean I'm part of that foundation of building that? You know, my life seems pretty insignificant. It seems pretty small. There's no discernible gift that I'm recognizing here. You know what we like to do? We like to point out how other people are special. We're like, oh, that person, they're really special. They've got all this stuff going on. They are a mover and a shaker. They're changing things. They're making things happen. Even when we're watching The Voice, we're like, oh, that person, she's special. She has such a sweet voice. She's going to make it, right? That person's better than me. That person is special. The child prodigy who at 12 years old has completed college and is finding a cure for cancer or how to treat the plastics that we've accumulated in our oceans. That's the special one. That's the one that it's affecting the foundation of the future right there. That's what it's all about. Not me. Not me. That's just not me. That's not me. Well, I want to tell you, stop it already. I want you to hear this. Stop it already. I want you to hear this loud and clear. There is nobody in this world who's special. Nobody. Nobody's special. You're hearing that right from me. There is nobody in this world who is special. You're like, really? I thought I was special. You know, we're hung up on that. We're hung up on either the other person's special or we're special. In any single moment, because we think we're better than somebody, where we're special. And then when we see somebody else that is seemingly doing this great thing, then they're special. And we're hung up on all that because we think we are independently pursuing our life. We think we're separate from each other. We don't really understand how life works. We get scrambled in our mind. So you think, all right, Paula, am I special or am I not? I don't know. Am I supposed to feel good about myself or am I supposed to not? Well, let me give you the spiritual essence of what I'm talking about from the Message Bible, John chapter 5, verse 30. Here's what I want you to hear. I can't do a solitary thing on my own. We think we do. We think we've created this life on our own. We think we've done all this work ourselves. But listen, I can't do a solitary thing on my own. I listen and then I decide, and you can trust my decision because I'm not out to get my own way, but only to carry out orders. This is the spiritual essence of this. See, we are spiritual in nature. And really what we do is not what we do, it's God through us. It's Spirit through us. It's the energy and the divine through us. That's the spiritual foundation of that. This is a perspective that's new for most of us because we think our life is independent. And we don't realize that we are ourselves an integral part of the expansion of the divinity and the humanity in which we live. Oh. So listen, you aren't special. I'm not special. No one is special. You know what we are? Essential. We are essential. There is no specialness to it. There is no one greater than the other. There is only our essential nature. We are here because we matter, because we are essential to the whole. That's what you've been waiting to hear, haven't you? That dispels the confusion, our essential nature, exactly as we are. I did a series on this book by Stephen Cope called The Great Work of Your Life before, but this is so important for you to hear again. Release the awful burden of wanting to be special, wanting to be better, wanting to experience every possible adventure in life, wanting to be an expanded self. Oh, for God's sake, it's just too damn much work to be the expanded self. Couldn't I just be my ordinary self? I'm saying yes, exactly your essential, ordinary self. So much spiritual exhaustion goes into being the expanded, better model of you. This selfish anxiety to get the most out of everything, to be a sparkling success in somebody's eyes or in my own. We can only get rid of this anxiety or the mistaken idea that we are not essential by being content to miss something in almost everything we do. We can be content to miss something in everything we do. We cannot master everything, taste everything, understand everything, drain every experience to its last dregs. But if we have the courage to let almost everything else go, we will probably be able to retain the one thing necessary for us, whatever it may be. Surprise, I'm not telling you what it is, I'm saying that thing is you. If we are too eager to have everything or to give up on ourselves, we will almost certainly miss that one thing that we are. We are not called to everything. We are just called to what we are called to. Isn't that a relief? The 19th century French Saint Teresa said, we can do no great things, only small things with great love. Essential, essential. So I have this visual for you. So we have this, in the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, there's this god called Indra. And Indra is the god of all gods. He is like the main man. He is in charge of everything. And in the kingdom of Indra is this huge net. And this net stretches on into infinity in all directions. And at each node in the net is a gem. At each node in the net is a jewel. And as far as the eye can see and beyond, that's what's holding this net together, each jewel. And each jewel reflects perfectly every other jewel in the net. And each jewel is every other, connected to every other by its reflection. Everything really contains everything else. And what I want you to understand with this visual is that you are that jewel. You are that jewel in the net that is essential. That otherwise the net would fall apart. It would be pulled to pieces without you. Infinitely representing humanity and divinity over time and space. And you are an integral part of that. Never doubt it. Never doubt your essential nature. Never doubt that your jewel is any less vibrant than any other jewel in that net. That jewel is you. And so as we go into meditation this afternoon, I hope that you hold that visual of the god Indra's net, of seeing it stretch to infinity, of seeing yourself as a jewel in that net, creating the foundation for all humanity, for the expression of divinity, knowing that you are essential. So let's take a deep breath in and out. And let's spend some time feeling what it feels like to be that jewel. Do your daily duty and let the rest go. Poke away systematically at your little calling. Tend the garden a little bit every day. You do not have to exhaust yourself with great acts. Show up for your life, then let it go, and know that it is enough, more than enough, essential.